HP Inc. Q3. What happened there, Dan? Did they catch the same bug that the entire PC industry has?
Yeah, so sequential growth year over year, not as good. I think on the EPS side, they managed. On the revenue side, they fell a little bit short of expectation. And really, we had the chance to talk to their CEO, Enrique Lores. Comments kind of seem to be consistent on a quarter basis. But what's also been consistent with some of these OEMs and some of these chips is, as much as they want to be able to read the tea leaves into the future, the tea leaves are not clear as to when this market for PCs is going to really turn. And when you're in the businesses that HP is in, both PCs, peripherals, printers, it does all sort of, unlike some of these other companies that can maybe trade on some diversification into infrastructure, cloud, they're very dependent on sort of a similar cycle, which would be for all these PC replacement cycles, peripheral replacement cycles. And so for HP, it was a very kind of muted, conservative call. I mean, I think their quarter to quarter growth is indicative that maybe there's some healing in the economy coming forward. I think they did have the ability to claim some market share gains, which were positive for the company. Of course, when you dig into market share gains, you also have to dig into some secondary factors like ASPs and what parts of the portfolio did those market share gains come from. And so we'll have a better idea, Pat, of that when we see Dell.
Exactly.
And so, where did that gain come from? The overall sort of sentiment is, and this is probably the one thing that I'm not sure what Enrique and his peers are supposed to do, and this is the AI conundrum. Enrique was not particularly outspoken about how AI is going to impact HP's business. And the truth is that at the edge and on the device, I think we all kind of know it's going to happen. But what we don't know yet, and this is the same thing that handset providers are kind of struggling with too, is what are people going to pay for? So meaning that, the ability to run a large language model on a PC or on a device, will people pay more for an iPhone, for an Android device, for a PC to do that? Now, I can imagine in workstations, we'll see some momentum because of the kind of workloads that we'd want to be able to run locally. And so you could see some spend on a more powerful GPU, CPU combination long-term on workstation. But on PCs themselves, when you're doing a lot of inferencing in your applications, in Workspace, Microsoft, Salesforce, how much more powerful does the computer need to be to do that? And is there an AI cycle for what I would say everyday usability for inclusion of AI versus only those specialized workstation requirements? But the guide was very conservative, Pat. There didn't seem to be a clear understanding of when the turnaround is going to come. But what I do see is a company that's has fixed some of its supply chain challenges, that is working hard to win share, that is continuing to deliver cash flow and profit to the bottom line. But Pat, it was kind of like I said, a bit of a muted quarter for the company, where I think they're looking to the future. 2 to 3 quarters out from now is where I sort of feel like that real momentum is going to get picked up. But that I think that's just become the status quo for companies that are focused on devices.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was going to start. The entire PC market is muted because there's so much uncertainty, right? There's interest rate uncertainty in Western Europe, a little bit more interest rate stability here in the US. China is a complete unknown. I think the good news is it does look like the channel inventory has been pretty much swept through. I mean, I think there was a lot to be excited about if people did the double click. I mean, profits are up, right? We're not in a price war, although ASPs did go down, and we're gonna have to wait for Dell's earnings to see what happened there. They gain unit market share, which I think is a plus. They did have sequential growth, which, by the way, if we went from a calendar Q3 to a Q4, it'd be less impressive to me. But Q3 calendar is always bigger than Q2, and it has been for 20 years. So I'm not as impressed by the sequential growth because the market is that's just the way it times. It was nice to see it. Unfortunately, got buried that Poly was up. That was a plus. I think that may have been some of the only businesses that were up aside from some of their growth areas. So that was a positive. So I think the whole industry is uncertain here in the second half, and I don't know if we're going to get even clarity in the first half. To your point on AI, Daniel, if the PC industry wants to have its moment with Microsoft, it's likely going to have to create a new category of PCs like AI, the AI PC or something, to make it black and white what that means. And they need to show that it increases ASPs, it increases profits, potentially signals a new wave of PC innovation.